Assalamualaikum and greetings to Miss I. My name is Muhammad Ilman bin Muhammad Idlan, matrix number AS1114. And this video is about my presentation of the bill assignment project that was tasked by you. And this project was actually conducted to investigate the electrical consumption and electrical costs in a household. And the chosen household was my household, which is the address is Nombor 11 Jalan PUJ 8/4343300 Sri Kembangan Selangor. And in my household, I collected the bill receipts of the from PNB for 3 consecutive months, which were December of 2019, January of 2020, and February of 2020. So in my presentation, I only included the important bits where I had to explain the components of my project. The ones that were a bit in essay or in written form, I only left it for you to read because that doesn't need explaining. It's just a history and the methodology of how I did my project. I only focused on the calculation part and the discussion and results part. The executive reviews, the methodology, the objectives, I put it there for you to read, and I don't think I have to explain the objectives because it's in the book and I just copy pasted it. So, next part.
Okay, so these are the bill attachment for the bill project. These are 3 months bill that were collected consecutively, which were the month of December, the month of January, and also the month of February. So for the reading history, I took all the meter readings in the receipts and listed it down in the table, as you can see in the table right here. And from the bill history, the bill amount is the actual is the bill amount of the consumption, as you can see here, without the charges of the service taxes and the late fines. So how did I calculate the average actual consumption? I took the 3 values of the consumption for each of the bills, which were a month of electrical consumption, kilowatt per hours, and I added 3 of these numbers up and divided it by 3, and I repeated it with the actual bill amounts. I took the three amounts in the bill and I added it up and divided by 3 also. For the calculation for the prorate blocks, I took in consideration the prorate factor first. I took the period of effective bill and divided by the number of days in the months. So the prorate factor for all of the bills is the same, which is 1. And to calculate the prorate block in the first row, I had to know the consumption first, and I had to take the prorate factor and times the tariff block in the first row, which is 200, and the factor times tariff block in the second row for the next 100, and the factor times the tariff block in the last row. And for the prorate block in the last row, I had to take the prorate factor and times with the tariff block in the last row, which is 228. Sorry, typo right here. And as you can see, I did the same method for January and December. I took the prorate factor and times it with the tariff block in the respected rows. And for the bill amounts, I have to take the prorate block that I counted in the upper calculations and times it with the tariff rate of each row. So for example, for December, I took the 200 prorate block and times it with the tariff rate of the first row, which was 0.218 cents, and which was 0.218 ringgit, and I got 43 ringgit 60 cents. And for the second row, I took the prorate block of the second row and times it with the second tariff rate, which is 0.3340 ringgit times 100, and I got 33 ringgit 40 cents. And for the last row, I took the 228 and times it with the tariff rate of the last row, which is 0.516 ringgit, and I got 117.65 cents. So the total bill amount was the three of the rows together, which was 194.65 ringgit, which was the same as in the bill above. And I repeated it for the other months, and did a graph, a consumption amount history graph that correlates to the amount that is the consumption and the amount of consumption of each month. For the bill calculation, what I did was I investigated the electronic appliances around the household, and I asked the people who were at home most of the time how much of the appliances they use per day, and I took the power reading of each appliances and counted the daily usage and monthly usage. So the way of counting it is you take the power of the appliances, which is 18 watts for the LED bulb, for one LED bulb, and I take the hours of usage per day and times it with the watt or the power, and I get the kilowatt per hour. So for the daily usage, I took the kilowatt per hours and times it with the number of units I had in the house. So for LED bulb, for instance, I got 0.09 times with 24, and I got 2.16 for the daily usage of LED bulbs in my household. And for the monthly usage, I just took the 2.16 and times it with the number of days. And I did it for all the other appliances and received a total amount of an estimated total amount of 521.42 kilowatt per hours. So for the TNB tariff rates, the estimation of TNB tariff rates were, I took the number of prorate blocks like I did in the upper calculations, and I did the same thing, which was divided into 3 groups and times it with the rates, and the end product was 191.04 191 ringgit and 4 cents, which was a bit off from the actual bill, but a close estimation. So I did the same for the other months, except for February, because February only had 29 days in 2020. So for the daily usage, I took 2.16 and I times it with 29 days. That is all for the bill calculation. And for the discussion, I made a bar graph of the monthly usage of electrical appliances. For the y-axis, it's the kilowatt per hour, and for the x-axis is the electrical appliances. So most of the appliances did not differ for the months of December and January. As you can see, it didn't differ very much, except for the ceiling fan. For the February data, it reduced a bit because of the number of days, because December and January had 31 days while February only had 29 days in 2020. So as you can see, the highest used appliances was the air conditioner, the 1.5 horsepower one. So it took 155.248 kilowatts per hours for the months of December and January. But that is all, I guess. So the graph interpretation, I took among the 3 months that were taken account, December of 2019, January of 2020, and the February of 2020. The month February recorded the lowest amount of electrical consumption because it had only 29 days. And even though, like you can see in the graph, the amount of time used for the 1 horsepower air conditioner differed a lot from the other 2 months. It still was the most less consumption of the months because it only had 29 days. So the usage of appliances, as I said just now, between December and January is mostly similar because they had the same amount of days. So in conclusion, the bill amount is higher when the amount of electrical consumption increases because there is longer and frequent use of electrical appliances in the household. So as you can see, the average consumption, what I did was I took the 3 amount of estimated calculations that I made and divided it by 3, and I did the same one for the actual average consumption. I took the numbers and divided it by 3, and the amount only differed for in 3.07, which is not a lot, quite accurate, a bit less accurate but a bit closer to the amount, because maybe there were complications or mistakes in counting the amount of hours used for the appliances. And the average cost also differed because, as you can see, the average consumption differed, so the average cost should differ a bit too. So the comparison of domestic tariff between TNB, SESB and SESCO. So as I said the TNB tariff rate is used throughout the households in Peninsular Malaysia, and the SASB tariff rate is used in Sabah and Labuan, while Sarawak uses a tariff rate from SESCO. So what is SESB and SESCO? They are actually utility companies that provide electrical energies in their respected areas of East Malaysia, East or West, I'm not sure. And from all the 3 rates, I researched and it said that and I discovered that TNB had the highest tariff rates compared to SESB and SESCO. So conclusions, so there were a lot of ways that I could think of to reduce electrical usage and save money on the monthly bills. So the first method was to make sure all electrical appliances are off after using it. As you can see, most people are not aware that when you leave a switch open, it actually counts a bit in the monthly electrical bill, and it can spike your electrical bill a lot. It can increase the cost that you have to pay. Like for instance, an iron uses a lot of power to operate, and when you leave it after you use it and you don't switch it off, you can actually cause an accident, and other than that, it actually uses a lot of electricity. So besides that, we can open our blinds or curtain to allow natural lighting, because in the day I don't think people use bulbs because they can save electricity just by opening the window and blinds. It can lighten the house more naturally and saves your money. So other than that, we can replace older models of appliances with eco-friendly types that are energy saving, such as air conditioners. Like I before this had one air conditioner that is an older model, and I replaced it with a newer one that is eco-friendly and uses less electricity from the older one, because the technological advancements in the appliances that we have today, they are making it more safer and a more cost friendly way to use electricity of the appliances. So lastly, we could buy timers that are equipped to outdoor lights. So for example, in my household, in our porch, we use a security light that only lights up at 7 in the evening, and it switches off at 7 a.m. the morning the next day. So what it does is we don't have to worry about forgetting to close the lights in the morning, and it makes sure that throughout the night my house is lighted up and it feels a bit more secure, that I can see the porch and the outside part of my house. So in conclusion, the objectives of this project were successfully fulfilled. I successfully investigated the cost of electrical energy and the usage in my household, and also I successfully compared the 3 bills and block rates of the consecutive the 3 bills and block rates of the of the 3 consecutive months, which were December of 2019, January of 2020, and February of 2020. And lastly, I was able to explain to you the alternatives and methods to reduce electrical usage, and with some examples. That is all from me. Thank you.